Hey guys, wanted to just chat a bit about this transit here. We just moved into Mars at zenith of Capricorn. Yeah, that was a really gnarly last few days. Personally, Mars hitting the 29th degree of Sagittarius was so intense. Let's clear it ground. It was like very, very, it was wicked. Yeah, my guides didn't have me sleep through this one. So, yeah, so now we have this really, well, it's a lot of karma. We have Mars at 0 degrees now of Capricorn. This is, you know, Saturn energy. Yeah, I want to see how you guys are doing. How are you guys doing here? The chat on right now. Oh my gosh. Yeah, a lot of purging. Yeah. What's going on? It's been a lot of clearing. Yeah, this was, I'm not gonna lie, this was really... Let's clear around, yeah. Yeah, right. What are your placements, Rebecca? Extremely, Rebecca. Like, there are so many timelines fucking shifting at Mars at 29 and all the other transits. It's like, no, let's clear it. Just having Mars alone in Sag 21, even in the, it was just crazy. That was a wicked roller coaster ride. Yeah. So. But, you know, we all have our transits right now. I have Saturn passing over my IC. It's cold. Okay, you can say that, yeah. We just have to yeah. We just have to keep, you know, moving. But, my God, that was really painful. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. Yeah, never felt so raw, so vulnerable. I mean, I cannot really say that. Okay. A year ago was horrifying. A year ago at this time, that was, yeah. Yeah. So, but we said it, we're cycling those cycles out. So, totally just, yeah, turned off by a lot of, I mean, but we have to say, like, everything happens for a reason, you know? Yeah. And, so we literally did a reading on this as well. It's like, you can try even, you know, to like perfect your schedule and your plans with astrology, but like if shit's supposed to come up, it's gonna come up. Like if something's meant to be, it's gonna be. Like it's almost like this force that's just like we have to be seen. There's no like, you know, and so yeah. And the issue with Sagittarius is that the energy is literally like it's like up and it's like that erratic Jupiter, you know, when it gets in those last few degrees, oh my god, it gets intense. And it affects everything else. I mean, to have Mars there, so it goes to show if you have a person, you know, in your birth chart, like if you have a personal planet placement like that, I hope you have a steady outlet for that energy, because that is wild. And you know, Mars is so imperative to, you know, to assess when we're looking at the overall vibe or disposition, you know, energy in the birth chart. Like Mars affects everything, I would say, because in this form, being in the 3D, right? In the 3D, it's ruling your vessel, your actual body. It rules how you show up in this dimension. And, you know, it works in tandem with the ascendant because the ascendant is a natural home placement for Mars. So, you know, and the ascendant is how we show up in this world. It's the very first sign on the eastern horizon as we are being birthed. You know, it's our awakening process. It's our into this, you know, and it's the first sort of portal. So it's the initiation, the initiatory energies. So it's really important. It's like kind of like, you know, yeah, it's like a lifelong energy. This is really how Mars, I see Mars as like, you know, if you had one life vest to wear and you knew you could only have, you could exercise one muscle to make it through the sea, I would pick my Mars because that will keep you afloat. Yeah. And it'll really, you will feel your Mars, you will, yeah, really, you know, be able to have a lot of control over the other energies in your birth chart, having the awareness of your Mars, having the insight as to what governs that part of your chart, because it is truly like the flow of energy, right? The sun is like the radiating force. Mars is the flow and the movement, the cardinal expression. So it's fucking important. And when it is at the later degrees of any sign, but honestly, in fire energies, you just want to also just be careful with that, because with that energy, because it's a lot of energy, and if you do not have an outlet for that, it can actually it can introvert, and you get what is kind of like a volcanic sort of moment. And what's very interesting, and I send light to all who were affected by this volcanic eruption, but um, yeah, it's interesting that at the very same time as we are culminating with Mars in this Sag, we are like literally erupting an undersea volcano. So it's all very symbolic. While we had the floods going, my whole apartment was flooded for 3, 4, 5, over a week. Um, so, um, we're definitely like experiencing and moving and shifting, and we have to keep moving the energy. Ironically enough, sometimes the Mars at a very advanced stage and degree is not necessarily like better in terms of stagnancy. It's almost like there's so much, like if you imagine like a pipe, right, bursting, and then all of the water just flushing out, right? Let's clear the engine ground. Let's clear the engine ground. All of the water like gushing out of the pipe, right? If you've got, it depends on what the stream valve is, right? The pressure. If it's like not so high, not so low, it'll flood out and it'll be moving pretty quickly. But if you imagine, just even from like, if you imagine actually the water, if it were like way too high of pressure and it's like trying to bust through two pipes in between two pipes, it may move more slowly actually because there's so much going on. Right? So sometimes, yeah, having a lot of a certain element can become more challenging to actually navigate and direct and flow. And sometimes that's why Spirit wants us experiencing these transits in retro. Cut it out right there. Just kind of wipe them out for a sec. But anyways, we were just saying, having a very intense Mars, yeah, sometimes it's in retrospect, like Spirit, teaches us these transits more in retrospect sometimes rather than actually in the moment. Like, we even did a reading on this, and we literally were like, it's going to get very intense, and lo and behold, let's clear the energy around. In the moment, it's like you're experiencing, it's like trying to like stick a headset on someone while they're on the roller coaster and like have them do the math problem. It's like, okay, I'll figure it out once I arrive, That's kind of like what experiencing the transits are versus preparing and planning for the transits. So, that's why I don't really like to like forecast with the transits. I know some people have asked, like, do you like to forecast? I personally don't. Yeah, I don't really like to forecast because, I mean, who's to say whether or not you will channel your Pluto energy, for example, in a way that is, in the light frequency of Pluto or in the shadow? That will always be up to you, and you will make that decision, right? When you face that conversation with your higher self. Let's clear the energy ground. Yeah, it's never going to be that somebody is going to tell you where you take your story, right? Because, I mean, imagine that. Otherwise, what would be the conversation happening? Then we could just very conveniently, right? I mean, that makes like kind of no sense. Like, then we would have someone tell, why not, everybody what's gonna happen and what the world is. It's like, then that's like a messiah energy. And I mean, what would the point be of that, right? I mean, you could have prophets, you could have people who are very, even very strong psychic, abilities, channelers, but that is not necessarily the point, right? Ever. I mean, it shouldn't be. So the decision and the discussion will always be how you channel that frequency. And at the end of the day, it's a frequency, it's a propensity, right? So it's kind of like saying, well, you got a Ferrari. It's like, now we're gonna like watch all the roads you ride on as you drive off the lot for the next 45 years. Let's say you have this car for the next 45 years. Yeah, it's like it's like, imagine like the sales rep being like, yeah, you know, I'm forecasting every single, street you'll be driving on with this car, it's like, why? What is the point of that, and how would that even be realistic? I mean, if we were to really, really think about it, you as the driver, you take your story forward, and you take that mechanism by which you express yourself in this dimension on in the way that you do personally, uniquely for you. So let's clear it. Astrology, in a way is like saying, well, this may be the weather, but who's to say that even if it's raining, you may not still go out in a dress and get drenched, right? Astrology does not dictate your technique of working with the elements. So anyways, the point is that, there are curveballs sometimes, and we have moments like this. We are in human form, right? Let's clear it. And the point that's important to make with yourself always, I think, personally, is of being honest, right, with yourself. Even if that means saying, hey, you know what? I know there's this transit going on, but I have to be honest with myself. Or, hey, you know what? And we're pushing through the karma. That's being brave. That's, being honest with yourself. And maybe, even it's like, well, it's Mercury retrograde. Like, I shouldn't do this and I shouldn't do that. Not because it's not true that, hey, maybe it's not so opportune to have a certain discussion at a certain point in time, given certain transits, but maybe there is a greater lesson for you to learn, right? By embarking upon that storyline in some way. Yeah. And nothing is necessarily bad, negative, even neutral, right? We kind of will define things to be as they seem. In this dimension, right, who's to say that yin is better than yang? Who's to say that, up is better than down? Right? Because it's not the discussion of better, higher, lower, right? It's about the complexity of the relativity of it all. So if we were to say, well, yin is better, well, who is yin if there is no context of yang, right? So we can say that even if we were to assume that yin is better, yang, in a way we can say, would be the reflective point to so-called better. And who is to say that, right? I mean, so it's very interesting if we think of it like philosophically, but for those of you maybe who are like, well, I mean, personally, I've stopped like trying to force the astrology, I found that spirit just at times takes the wheel over and is like, oh, no, some transits will have me absolutely just like sleep through. Okay, some transits, I've been awake for the last 48 hours. Yeah, no sleep. It's been really, and I know that this is like one of those peaks, and I was having like a lot of visions and downloads, and it was going like up and down and wow and past life energy, and it was like all of this like energy, these floodgates, a lot of emotion as well. So yeah, we cannot judge what does come up. We shouldn't judge ourselves. We shouldn't judge what comes up, how we ultimately also react. We are here in human form. We have things that surprise us, things that trigger us, things that stimulate us, and we have to see what that is. And I think, again, it comes down to honesty, you know? Do I feel like I need to say something here? Do I feel I need to, you know, story tell? I'm hearing it ultimately in this way. You know, you can tell when someone's telling a story that they really experienced firsthand and they really truly feel passionate about. And you can tell when people are recounting a story that another has told, and if it is not their own, you know? Usually you can feel the actor in the actor, if that makes sense. So the important thing, I think, in life, without getting too sermon here, okay, this is starting to feel a little sermon-like, maybe, is, you know, to just kind of go with the flow and say, I'm gonna just be here telling my story. I'm just gonna be here saying it as it is, to myself and to others. And as long as you have compassion, right, present in that space, you know, we can't really look at the outcome as, well, gosh, you know, why did I have to call it out like this or call it out like that? There is no such thing, right? Yeah, let's backtrack going around. There is no such thing as, personally, I feel regrets. There is no such thing as, you know, yet again, negative, positive, time, space. We're in this simulated reality, and however we interact with our universe is personal to us as well, and we have to remember that. And, you know, we should not loathe the truth that we prioritize in every moment, even if it means losing a friend, right? Maybe you're like, hey, I know me saying this is gonna really, like, freaking tip the boat, tip the gondola, tip the story maybe of another. But the point is, it's maybe. I don't tell their future, I tell my own by telling it as it is for me truly right now. So we really are working with energy here. It's not about time, it's not about space. We're not going anywhere, really. We're not like creating anything, really. We're just magnetizing truth, right? And you're the conductor of what you create with that. So the important thing is to be honest. I'm hearing that again. And the more you allow your truth to flow through you and to just kind of like bubble up and out, okay, that is ultimately what increases your vibration. Maybe it's not so comfortable in the beginning moments in the midst of that, maybe one scene in the movie, but at least you're telling it as it is so you can get to the next scene truly and authentically, right? Because, I mean, you can tell a lie, you can act like everything's okay, you can, you know, put it to the side, maybe brush it under the covers or under the rug, you know? But the story will eventually be told, hence karma. So we're really not running away from anyone, right? Or anything. And if we don't get to it in this scene, we'll have to address it in another. And that's just kind of that, right? So hopefully this message is helpful for somebody. I know I'm personally going through these experiences. You know, what is the worst case scenario? We really have to just kind of trace that so-called fear down and track it to a particular context and re-acknowledge ourselves in that space and say, I can create my future also here. Even if I do have a moment of confrontation with something that is really uncomfortable, it doesn't mean it is bad, right? And that is where the karmic lies. That is where the karmic energy truly is at. It's not like, let me just feel the energy through, right? I mean, that's flow. But sometimes it's a matter of identifying where the fear is, where the stagnancy is at, and that is really necessary, right? To be brave in those moments, to say, hey, you know what? I think that's my weak spot. I think that's something that I'm not comfortable doing, but I need to do. And obviously this is general video, you know, We're talking in a balanced mind space. You know, if you're doing any heavy meditation or astral projection, talk to your person practitioner. But, you know, we're talking about the existential conversation of the subconscious psyche. You know, we'll give an example. Let's say that you really feel uncomfortable talking to your one friend about this one particular subject matter. It just makes you feel really weird. Whatever it is. Maybe it's even, well, I don't know, maybe it's even with an employer, okay? Let's say that it's the topic of even money, okay? Nothing that would inherently, okay, assume shame or embarrassment or anything. But for you in particular, let's just say you're like, I just don't feel comfortable. You just run away. You just shy away. You just choose another discussion, okay, in place of that one topic you really want to pinpoint and address. And, you know, there is a reason for that. And sure, it's easier, but nothing is random and energy doesn't disappear, right? And so, if anything, the longer we obstruct our so-called perspective from our view of that talk that we know we would like to have, because at the end of the day, it's not really, I'm not seeing it as an action that you take on, like what are actions, right, in 3D. It's more you with yourself. I'm seeing it and I'm hearing it from spirit as a conversation. So when we communicate, we open up, we shed light on, we don't define, right, necessarily with communication, we open up, right, the throat chakra. We allow for there to be, right, different values present in a certain space, different perspectives to be defined. But reality is what you make it. And if you don't have that moment of openness with yourself where you say, let me look at the situation for what it is, let me just look at it, and let me talk to myself about it, right? Forget about talking to somebody else about whatever this is, but talking to myself about it. That's when you are truly in a space of having the moment of freedom to understand what that space of your consciousness holds as potential for you to create something with that serves your purpose, your soul path, life path calling here in this moment in time, in this dimension right now. Maybe it will change, right? Maybe you'll have that same discussion years down the line and you'll say, well, today, right now, well, right in this moment, in this day and age, I feel different. At least you are considering the question of authenticity always with yourself and never closing the door to exploring what it is that you maybe just even want to consider, right? So I found that it's really important to acknowledge what it is that, you know, you feel in your subconscious at times, and you should work with a personal practitioner if this is, I mean, I don't know, this will be different for everybody, obviously, but to not address it, to not acknowledge it, is, sometimes we think it's better, but yeah, it can become not better over time, but bigger, right? So, and look, you will honestly, like, yeah, you will define, like, who is really there for you. That's the hard truth, right? It's an emotional moment. Every time the moon goes into Sag, every time we have this really strong Sag energy, my moon is Sagittarius, I feel this personally. But yeah. because, like, I mean, honestly, it's like, I'd rather be honest than be misinterpreted in the light of something that is comfortable but not true. So, and sometimes that's the lesson. Sometimes that's the moment where you say, well, I said it the way I felt it. You know? And maybe you lose a friend because of that. Maybe you lose followers. Maybe you lose a vote. I don't know. It can be anything for anyone, depending on what you're experiencing, also especially karmically. So, but what do those things really mean? Right? If they don't empower you at the end of the day to be brave. This is my realization with Sag, you know? And sometimes it's like, wow, what feels so scary to like one person, right? Like maybe you have a friend and that person is like, oh my god, like why are you scared to tell your boss about, you know, a raise? Like, why are you like afraid to talk about your significant other about XYZ? Like, maybe to that person they would be like, that's the first thing. I would be so brave to talk about that, right? Because that's their personal experience with their karma. And that's what it comes down to, saying, you know what, maybe somebody else, okay, doesn't have trouble with this, but I can be brave in calling it out and saying that I do have trouble with it. And that's the moment that you flip it, right? When you're running from it consistently, trying to hold bravery in that space and context and saying, okay, I'm not going to address it because then I'm going to be more strong for not, you know, shedding light on maybe a weak spot. In fact, what that, you know, holds space for in the subconscious is insecurity. When we're subconsciously not, we know we're not playing ourselves. We know when we're being honest and when we're not being honest. You know, it's like, sure, you can invite someone over your house, but if you just like didn't vacuum and you just shuffled the dust under the rug, in the back of your mind, you know that. So there's no fooling anyone here, and we will eventually reach the point where that energy will be called out and we have to get really raw with it. Some transits will really, really, really get you to face that conversation so intently, and the one thing it comes down to is honesty. So in any moment, think, am I being honest with myself right now? That's the only thing that matters. I don't care if it's with a parent, I don't care if it's with a friend, I don't care if it's with your boyfriend, your fiance, your blah blahs, your blah blahs. It comes down to the vibration of honesty, and honesty is so fucking attractive. Thank you for your super chat, Amber. Let's clear it and ground. Thank you so much, you guys, for your support. Let's clear on the left side of the throat chakra. You know? And that's the thing that gets you to the next leg of your journey, is the energetic space that you capacitate, right? To create something in, but you first have to acknowledge it and say, you know what, I have the potential for this, and I realize that I have something in that luggage that I need to take out, right? I realize I have something in that luggage, and I realize I'm going places and I need to use the luggage, so I need to empty the luggage of the things that I know are in there. Only I know those things are in there, and I need to clear them out. I need to clear it, and I need to be wholesome with that process of being really, really, really thorough, right? And it may mean breaking up a marriage. I have to be honest with what I'm talking about here. It may be, saying to a family member, I just don't feel it in my heart to talk to you for maybe the next 4 or 5 months. This is in my heart where I'm honest with myself, and I hope you can understand that. Maybe that's what it means. Maybe it means, telling a group of friends, hey, I know, we're all buddies and this is our routine, and we all kind of made this pact way back when, that this was our passion and this is where we're headed together and this is our story, okay? Even as a collective, I'm hearing. But this is where I break the road in half a bit, and I say, I'm gonna shake to the left, guys. I think I should go. And the important thing is that you're curious always about you, and you never allow someone else or a group of people to interrupt that flow of consciousness that's just so alive and real and honest for yourself, right? And sometimes, we don't know what's happening, but we just feel it. It's like, I just feel like, this person, this group of people, this activity is just, in getting so involved in how I'm discussing what really matters with myself, with my higher self. So, you really have to be strong in those moments, and to just say, let me just do it, that thing called honesty, and let me be brave enough, let me see what they say back to me, who I really am in that moment as an honest person. And if they no longer acknowledge you, then that's where you've found the karmic shift for yourself, right? Where you realize, I'm in another domain. And either way, it's good, because it tells you that you are evolving, right? There's no backpedaling, right? I mean, usually we don't really feel too good when we know in our bones, you've made progress and then you kind of move back, or you say, oh, I'm going to do this, and then you kind of go back on that. It just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel good. And it's like you for yourself, it. It's inevitable. Yeah, this is the direction I'm moving in. And, so yeah, there's no right or wrong. And that can sound like, what? But who gives a fuck? Yeah, we're much bigger than what we see here on this planet right now, and that's where you have to remember the faith that you have in your journey. And that may take meditations, connecting with your guides, understanding your mission, right? Family, friends, even marriage. I'm going to be honest here. People marriage partners, whoever, however, they do not define your lifelong mission as a soul. Nobody does. Nothing will. Nothing can. Even if you're like, hey, I want you to help me figure out my life. Hey, I want you. And again, going back to astrology, astrologer can tell you the propensities, but you decide, in your heart what you really want to create with and what makes you feel fucking good. Maybe it means, hey, someone could tell you need to be, channeling your energy in the higher spectrum of Pluto. Well, maybe your lesson means channeling in the lower frequency for a period of time, right? And seeing how you see yourself in that space. So it's all, maybe you need that, right? So sometimes we have these experiences where we don't know, like, why. It's like, I just want to have this space, or I just want to, you know, yeah. So, no, but what I'm seeing as well, you know, it's like, what is the worst that can be? Let's say that we tell, you know, someone, let's say it is a lifelong partner. Let's clear the energy in the throat chakra. Let's say you say, hey, you know, I'm starting to see myself like this these days. You know, these things are more of importance to me. Um, those are things that I really, really hold fast to as my values. I'm realizing that this is really in my future. And I don't see my story without these conversations. Let's say that that's your utmost truth, right? And you call it out, and your so called lifelong partner of however long, okay, 25, 35, 45 years, says they react to that and they tell you. And even if they, however it is, you can rest assured that that is also a moment of honesty with them, right? However they happen to react to whatever it is that you call out. Let's say that they don't agree with you. Let's say that they are trying to even persuade you to think differently, okay, because maybe it's not convenient for the connection. I'm hearing that as well. Let's clear it in the sacral chakra and the solar plexus chakra. Let's just say for whatever number of reasons, maybe they just don't want to lose you. You know, at first they're like, no, 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 no. You know, whatever it is. At the end of the day, that reaction, okay, tells you very clearly, it cross-checks you with you, not you with them, but you with you, right? And says very clearly, okay, this is your direction, and this person is either in alignment with it or they're not. The important thing, though, is that you are moving in your direction always, and that is, again, a flowing space of honesty, because that's really the momentum. And I think that's when we're really unhappy, when we're not saying what we really feel. And, you know, let's clear, we can all tend to skew towards that pole, right? That axis, the shadow of what we know for ourselves. You know, and even, you know, yeah, however it is for you. Especially, though, if you have a lot of water in your chart or a lot of air, yeah. Really any element, yeah. But I would imagine that this particular lesson would be very strong with the element of Pisces, with Libra specifically. Anywhere where there's a lot of pressure with Libra to have balance, right? To have understanding, and, you know, there's that visceral need to feel even understood and accepted and harmonic. Which is interesting because when we have the conversation with the archetype of Scorpio, the preceding sign in the zodiac wheel, it's very much, well, harmonic doesn't mean happy, because the spectrum of decision making for Scorpio in terms of, I think their pleasure would be more, even if it's abrasive, okay, what they feel to be actuality, right? So it can be very challenging as well for Pisces, right? The last sign of the zodiac wheel. It's a little bit interesting with Pisces because there is this pressure to really evolve and take the energies into the next dimension. There is that fallacy, though, of, you know, where Pisces can get very caught up, and they get very caught up, and they, you know, get into that space of, we're all one, and I'm just gonna, you know, bypass the fact that we're here in the 3D and that we're all independent individuals, and we have to care for ourselves, each and every one of us as independent beings, okay, in that way. And that means caring for yourself at the equal level that you do another, not less and not more. That elusive energy that can really associate with Pisces can come up in a similar space, a similar lesson where it's like, okay, who are you doing this for really? You know, and is it, I mean, at the end of the day, it's not helpful to others if you're not helping yourself with equal measure in that space. So, you know, let's clear it. But I mean, we can really apply it, you know, to any archetype. There's shadow, there's you know, the application of that energy with any archetype. A lot of fire energy, you know, wants to be appreciated physically, wants to be acknowledged, you know, and we went through that a few months ago when we were in the Leo season. It was very intense. The Leo Aquarius season, oh my god, it was so intense. I'll never forget those energies. Even the Libra, it was crazy. And it was one of the first times I was ever like really feeling like the shadow of Leo, the shadow of Aquarius, the shadow of Libra with the self, where it's like you're really wanting this, like you have this deep desire for acceptance ultimately and to feel heard. It was the Aquarius, I think, is it the new moon? Yeah, I remember that. And it was, then we switched. So, yeah, where like, for example, let's take, for example, Leo. It's like wanting to be the archetypal hero, heroine, right? Someone who is looked at as impressive, okay, attractive, glorious, okay, magnetic. At what cost, right, do we strive for that? And again, it just always, it's that balance point of the honesty that we ask of ourselves. So yeah, I mean, look at your south node. I'm getting this download here now. Let's clear it. I'm getting this message that it's about really your south node. Okay. Interestingly, yeah, I will give the example. So my south node is in Cancer. You can slump into the shadow of your south node. And well, it could be even the positive traits of your south node, but it can really transmute as an unhelpful energy when you're overly depending on it and it's not holding balance and fairness within the spectrum of the rest of your chart, right? Let's clear it around. It can really become a very, very pesky addition to your astrological family, but then it's really unhelpful, we'll say in a way, because it's so hard to pin down, because it feels so latent. This is how I'm interpreting it, at least for myself. It feels so kind of natural. It's like you forget that that's the leg you've been walking on mostly for your whole life, rather than we're talking as than the other leg. It's like you're not questioning your south node energies, really. You're not naturally questioning your south node, but you are going to probably more so challenge or seek out more consciously. You may address more consciously your north node energies. So yeah, and to address your north node, sometimes there is this really strong determination that's needed. And when the going gets tough with your north node energies, it's very easy to slump into your south node and not realize it. So let me give an example. I guess in this case, I know for myself right now, there are a few factors. Again, like I said, I have my Saturn running through my IC, which is the lowest part of the birth chart. This happens to also be where the moon calls home in the birth chart. And I have my south node in Cancer. I also have my Chiron in Cancer. And we just passed over, right, that really strong, I think it was a full moon, right, in Cancer. And we're just culminating out, we're creeping out of that bubble phase, the phase of that particular moon cycle moment. And we will finally climax with it once we hit the first quarter stage. I've noticed that we hit that sort of shift point at the first quarter stage and the second quarter stage. Actually, yeah, the full moon in Cancer. Why does that feel weird though? No, yeah, the full moon in Cancer. Right, because it's sun and, yeah. So at the second quarter stage, in this case, but the second quarter stage, first quarter stage, is when we really sort of then just sort of snap out of the full moon and the new moon energy, respectively, and find a sort of greater macro understanding of what that cycle may have brought up for us. It's almost like we go into this mini like phase and vibe. But yeah, and the full moon really brings things up very dramatically at times, very much clearly. So for me personally, I know that this is and sometimes the second quarter stage, first quarter stage can be even more intense. It's sometimes very intense because it's bringing it like to a complete halt. And it's like, okay, no, this is exactly what we're working with. This is what it is. Look at it clearly. Sometimes at times. So it's almost like the final test, the final exam sort of energy, getting your grade even, we can say, in a way. Seeing kind of what has been going on all along, maybe, yeah, getting your grade. And so for me, myself, like right now, I know like this is me with my South Node. And my moon, the ruler of Cancer, is in Sag. So, anyways, and I have a pretty strong moon, given that my moon in Sag, which is fire, is in the first house of Aries, which is also fire. And it is an angular house, it's the first house. Anything in your first house is going to be really, really an important planetary archetype. So, anyways, guys, I hope this is helpful. I just wanted to jump on. I was really like debating, like, should I just sulk it out? And I was like, no, there are the messages spirit guides want to get on. So, yeah, hopefully this is like helpful for someone. And know that, yeah, whatever it is that you've got going on here, it's hitting most likely a peak, specifically like today and earlier, especially in the morning and last night, and with the Mars moving into zenith of Cap, and given also the second quarter stage. So the Mars at 0 degrees of Capricorn, also known as zenith. And so give it like another day. We will hopefully be talking more about these energies. Feel free to check out the readings that we've done already for these transits. We already did a series for Mars and Capricorn. Those were really, really intense. So if you do feel guided, Aries, yeah. We did all the signs. So also we did a series for the sun in Aquarius. Yeah, guys, try and stay kind of, move in your energy field and keep flowing. And, we did call it out, like, the world is changing right now at a rapid pace. So energies are moving in and out. I think the message from your spirit guides are saying, hey, just, you know what? The one thing you can do right now is be honest with yourself. Try not to control the destiny, the fate, the outcome of anything. Say it the way you feel it. Let the energies out. Let the energies flow. Do not fear being discriminated against. I'm hearing that as well, for what it is that you are truly feeling in that given moment. Okay? Who cares if, someone makes fun of you? Who cares if somebody looks at you and laughs? Who cares if somebody wants to say whatever they want to say? The beautiful thing about our conversation here on Earth is we're all, in a way, independent. We can all say what we feel, right? I mean, I'm obviously talking from my upbringing. I'm talking about, but yeah, there's a reason for everything. Gabriel, hello. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your super chat. Very kind for your $20 super chat there. Love and light, guys. Thank you for your support on the channel. Those of you who hit the like button on the videos, share, like, subscribe. I'm touched by you guys. Comment. Those of you who've been following for years, thank you guys so much for your connection here in this dimension. And what else? Yeah, I mean, I'm just seeing it like this, stand up to those people like who really maybe even actually bully you, and I mean, if it's gonna get combative, you obviously have to look at the situation, right, in a holistic manner. And obviously I don't know everybody's personal situation, but what you do have within you is the acknowledgement. Sometimes it's so much more the acknowledgement and not really even the actual conversation yet again, right? Because it's you with you. It's going back to you with you. you being honest with you is enough. And if you feel like it's not, then that is also really part of the message for yourself. I would assume, you know, in a case like that, if you're fearing like, you know, being outcast or unaccepted for, it's like we have to really think like why would we be in a space where we would want to judge, right, and harm the space of empowerment for another, right? Even if we don't agree with it, it's like, well, at least like, you know, that's what they believe. Why would we try and control, mitigate, change, or translate someone else's truth? So, and if they don't appreciate communication and conversation, then, you know, that's another tip for you, that you won't be able to have a flowing space of the throat chakra in that conversation, in that storyline. And correct me if I'm wrong, but we're headed towards the flow of all chakras here on planet Earth, and it's necessary to this ascension. So if the throat chakra happens to be your particular karmic, you know, moment here, and Mars and Sag will really pull that out of you, and yeah, we'll get you on the stage, and you know, so see what came up. See what came up. How many of you did have something that you called out and you got very much righteous with, and you got really sort of, I'm even hearing like raunchy with, where you said, hey, you know what, this turns me on, hey, that doesn't turn, you know, like maybe it would embarrass another, maybe it wouldn't, you know, maybe it was something weird and quirky and strange, maybe it wasn't, you know, let's clear it. Maybe you didn't know what it was to that person, but you just felt that you felt it and you needed to say it. Right? How many of you had something like this? So, yeah. I think that's the power of the throat chakra. We're not getting so like touchy-feely with what we really believe, right? Sag doesn't, if we're thinking about Sagittarius, if we're going to isolate it to like one planetary placement, Sagittarius is about being really like that broadcast energy. It's not like, even do they believe in what I believe? I mean, that can also be the annoyance that comes along with the Sagittarius energy. I have to be honest, my moon is in Sag. Right? I got a lot of Sag in my chart, and I've talked to people, right, who have had experiences with Sagittarians, and sometimes the shadow is like, they just go blah, 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 blah. And like, we're like openly saying we don't agree, but they're still going blah, 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 blah. But that's the Sag energy. It's almost like a blurty energy at times, similar to fire in general, right, of Aries. For example, right? But it's because the energy is not flowing through the meridians of the conversation of the heart chakra. Not meaning that it doesn't matter, but it's just Sag is like, yo, this is my department. This is what I'm here for. This is what matters to me. To me, I need to express myself, right? If we take, let's say, a water sign will, especially Pisces or Cancer, right? Also Scorpio, but will really filter, okay, they will really, the primary reactive agent is, what does this person have to say as well to what I say? And also Libra, this is also, yeah. So, for Pisces and water signs, more on an energetic level, which is harder sometimes because, especially Neptune, it's like, you don't know, like, whoa, is this my energy? Am I like, you know, feeling like I don't want to say this because I feel like intuitively I just feel it, like this person's not gonna like what I have to say, right? So there's a lot that happens very quickly on astral when it comes to element of water, but Libra is more into matters of communication. Libra may clearly understand where they stand when it comes to possibly, and feel free to share, right, in the chat, but you know, they want to, like, hence the diplomatic energies, they want to keep the peace, right? They don't want to, they don't like to rock the boat. Do we have to rock the boat? Isn't it so much more comfortable not to get a single splash of water on our vest so we can just kiss on the damn romantic ass gondola we got going on here? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, every energy and every archetype has its conversation that feels important to it. So, and the beauty is that we're all signs. So the question is not whether or not Sag has the mic forever and always, but does does it work within the spectrum of the other planets as well? Does Sag willingly give the mic up when it's time to pass the baton on to the next sign? You know, so, and that's the beauty of astrology transits, because then you can see what comes up for you. What are some uncomfortable transits? What are some comfortable ones? What is fucking annoying and fucking irritating, and what is like I can just sit in this energy like all night long and just feel like a wizard at life. Okay, you want to note those transits because that's telling you maybe, you know, where you're feeling more confident with the conversation with your higher self. Let's clear it. So, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, again, it's not necessarily about confrontation with anyone but you. And it maybe you're saying, well, I know, like, you know, we're gonna get into an argument and this guy's a narcissist, and if I were to bring this up, then they would totally like dismiss me and they would totally make me feel like blah blah blah. But maybe then your answer is, hey, I communicated my truth with myself and I said that is totally what I believe and what I trust in, and if you don't know, then it's time to possibly meditate and really sift through the white noise of that space and say, hey, I need to hear myself. What do I really feel? Not what me and John feel together as a unit, but what do I feel as an independent individual? And just say to myself, I've made my decision. That's what I am here for, right? Because energy creates your reality and nothing is random. That moment, even if it does seem at a point in time insignificant, right? Me with John, me not telling John what I really feel, okay, that leads to a certain outcome in the third dimensional manifest reality where, you know, you will face some sort of reflection point of the maybe fear to call something out with your subconscious. So, you know, it's you with you at the end of the day. And I think Spirit is saying you don't have to have a triggering conversation or some kind of rebuttal with someone, and, you know, and maybe you do, and then you decide halfway, I don't want to continue to have this conversation, I don't want to discuss this, and then you just have the strength to say, I stand alone in my personal truth, and I'm going to just stand here. I don't need to go anywhere in the conversation. I don't need to win anything, I don't need to lose anything, I don't need to make up with you, we don't need to find the clarity and the point of the reflection is with me and myself, and that should be enough. And if they are truly in the light, they will observe that power that you have, the light that you're holding in that moment of that conversation you're having, and they will admire it and they will see it as a good thing, even if it does hurt parts of maybe their ego or their shadow self. And if it takes some time to realize that, that's okay. That's okay. You know, let's clear it. It doesn't mean anything. It reflects where they are on their journey. So, you know, we're all here having a moment with the ego at times, and the conversation does get stronger at times, more strong at times, and this personally was one of them for myself, Mars, Sag. Not because I was being egotistical necessarily for the sake of it, right? But because it was, you know, what am I trying to hold face with? What am I trying to hold up, right? By not mentioning, by not saying, by trying to keep the peace, by trying not to rock the boat. It's those moments with the ego, right, that are personal. Nobody else would have been able to call it out and said, oh, you're holding on to your ego right there, right? Letting go of the ego is being vulnerable. You not telling John what you really feel. John's not going to call it out and be like, hey, Sean, I think you're holding on to your ego. Not necessarily, right? So you know where your ego is at. And it's good to have some ego, but, you know, it's most important, I think, to understand where it is, right? The more you meditate, I think the more that process becomes more seamless and easy to say, you know what, I know, like, I'm gonna call this out. So, just a stream of consciousness, guys. Right? This is obviously a channeled message. Let's clear the heart chakra. person on overactive throat chakra. Maybe some of you are like, oh my god, does she realize she's talking a lot? I'm not talking, guys. I'm channeling. It's clearing the ground. Yeah. I'm definitely not, I don't have a one-track conversation like this with like friends and family, unless it's like a channeled session, you know? That's another reason why sometimes doing personal readings, by the way, it's tough, like at least live. I rarely do the personal lives. Let's clear in sacral chakra. Rarely, because sometimes there's too much ego and like, you know, there's too much conversation. And personally for myself, because I don't just do the like reading with the cards. It's, for me, I'm doing a lot of channeling. So maybe that's a message for some if you're a channeler, and you're having maybe a hard time with clients, or maybe you get kind of like, you know, maybe the message becomes very clear, and then when you are talking to the client, for example, then it's like you feel the messages get blocked, possibly, as it feels like, let's say you just had the message a minute ago and then it feels really hazy or murky, or you feel like you can't really clearly communicate or translate the message, and convey it. That can tell you a bit about the ego, the level of the ego that person is holding in the conversation with you. So let's clear it. Yeah. I think it's important to channel personally during a session when you're working with someone, if you are going to do it. But I mean, I cannot say that for everybody. You have your way, you know, you have your way as holding your spiritual talents, right, in an honest way for yourself. But maybe you don't, you have another way, right? Maybe there's another. So sometimes though, like, clients can unwittingly bully you to change the way that you translate your gifts, and that's the ego, and it's not necessarily them. That's very hard in the very beginning stages. Like if you're a reader or you're working with matters of energy healing and energy work, people may tell you, they'll pay you frick, they'll come and offer you hundreds of dollars and say, hey, fix me, right? But they're telling you that, but their ego energy space, they're not really oriented towards that project with you. They're not truly available and free and vulnerable to have. They're not really willing to do the healing maybe in that way. That's where it gets tricky, because sometimes, you know, it's like, oh my god, but they're like kind of commissioning it, but then it's tricky, it's getting political with them with their higher self. And it's a tough spot with if you're a reader, because then it's like, well, I know that in a way, you know, it's like maybe this is not something that they really want to know right now, or maybe this is, let's clear it, maybe this is, you know. So anyways, but personally, yeah, I've gotten much more, you know, connected with that process of who I'm connecting to in terms of, you know, the reasons for which I'm also channeling with that person. Personally, if you're having trouble with doing personal readings, it may be that you're accepting a lot of clients, and it's like, well, they're ordering it, well, they're coming, it's maybe this is meant to be. It's like they're, you know, but let's go to the crown chakra. At the end of the day, it's a so anyways, but I want to mention this. Last night I was having some downloads in relation to past life energies, and it was the most interesting thing, because I was having like a swarm of visions, and I was hearing a lot coming through. Something came through about a minister, and but I was seeing someone who was almost kind of like bringing like a couple together, like two people, kind of like a priest or something, like someone who would bless a union. That was the vision that I got. I think possibly I also had a past life related to like midwifery, or definitely working with like herbs, but yeah. And I was hearing something, I wrote it down, Enzi, let's clear it. Yeah, and I was real curious, like, what is this? Because the other night we were talking about this, like, what is like the past life energies? And so I was looking into that, and it's very interesting. Something about a lawmaker in, yeah, kind of like, right. So, it's interesting. And I started thinking, well, this sounds a little bit like synastry, like astrology, you know? And, looking at charts, and because that's something I'm really interested in as well, the synastry and compatibility. Sometimes, like, I'll see someone's chart, and then I'll see another person's chart, and I'll be like, oh my god, you guys need to, like, chat. You guys need to fucking hang out. You'd be like freaking like amazing friends. Seriously, sometimes. No, really, like, really. I've had clients, like 2 separate clients. I'm like, I want to, like, kind of have them talk, you know? So, yeah. I also want to mention, if you are a reader and you happen to take on clients, you know, everything is, like, I'm hearing meaningful, right? It's not like, oh man, is this karmic? Like, everything is meaningful, you know? Even your clients, you know, there are soul lessons. So, sometimes you have very challenging clients, very difficult clients, but it's kind of like a dark angel energy, you know? They are there to sort of navigate you and reorient you and push you on a path that is more real for you in some way, more realistic for you, more rewarding for you. Sometimes, you know, we even any case of life, not even just like spirituality or energy work, energy healing. Let's clear it. It doesn't have to be that you're in that field or industry, but sometimes it's like we get into a certain like rhythm even, or a path, and we're thinking, you know what, like, yeah, I think I want to do this, but we're thinking we want to do that, but then, you know, we are not really, if we were to do something else with that energy and time, if we were to define the paradigm for where we're channeling that energy, maybe we could take what we're doing there and put it into another field, maybe another industry. We would be so much more satisfied, and we'd be so much more even, you know, feeling just magnetic, right? In terms of also abundance, right? So when you're doing what you love, you're not really focusing on finances. This is what I found. Unless you have like 8 planets in Capricorn and you are like, you know, a walk-in like medallion coin. I mean, like, love and light. You see, yeah. But maybe, yeah, finances is your passion, like, however it is, but everything's energy. But yeah, I mean, even finances. So when you're really in your flow and you're doing what you love, like, you're not thinking about the financial side of things. That flows. But it's, you know, so a good meter and measure for you is like, am I having trouble with that? Maybe it's not really like the direction I want to channel that in. And also, how are you feeling? Because you can make a lot of money but not be satisfied as well. Like, truly, right? Talking like where you're even feeling like, I feel like I could just be at a different level in terms of my energy levels. So yeah, if you're feeling drained, that's a clear, surefast sign that that's probably not the industry, or the way in which you're channeling your energy is not optimal for you. And I personally believe that everybody absolutely is here to be satisfied completely when it comes to their soul path, their soul. And that was the first service that I launched actually on the channel. It was Find Your Soul's Gold. It was an astrology service. Let's clear it around, yeah. So let's clear it. Now, that may change, of course. You know, maybe at one point it's interesting. At one point it's, you know, holds more meaning for you. Even with your life lessons. Personally, I'll give you an example. Like, when I first launched the channel, I wanted to talk about astrology in a general sense as well. I wanted to obviously do tarot, but I was really feeling really oriented towards working with the public. And yeah, that was something very like natural for me, right? And then it was like I had a few clients, people who, well, they were coming up, they were saying, hey, can you like do a personal reading for me? And I was like, my gut instinct, and it's not, if you got a personal read with me in the past, this is not to say I have no regrets in life. And thank you so much, everyone who's connected, right? Everything, again, is so deep and meaningful. And I've had amazing, you know, private services with people where we were one-on-one, and it was such a reflective moment, right? I mean, as the reader, anyone can, I'm sure, if you're a reader, you could say it. It's reflective. You have, you know, things, people are messengers to you as well at times, right? You have things you learn that you pick up on. And so what I realized, though, I went back and I really thought about this. I did not, in my heart space, want to do private readings. I did not feel that I felt like, well, you know what? And I went back and I traced. I said, yeah, well, I see, really want this. Like, I can see myself doing it. Aha. I can do this. I can do a lot of things. You could do a lot of things, right? Right? You can be very successful at those things, but does it really empower you, like, really, when it comes to where you feel in your heart space you want to go with your soul path, life path calling, and your mission, ultimately, right? So that's a hard message sometimes, because we are maybe in a position where we are paid very well. We're in a position where, you know, so, yeah. But, obviously that was an important lesson for me. And, so, yeah. And, so, and if we were to even umbrella that out, like just me doing the channel in and of itself, that was a moment for me as well where I said, yeah, before, for those of you who are new to the channel and who have not heard this story before I started the channel, I was going to do a fashion app, and I was really interested in that idea. It was a passion of mine. It's not like I wasn't interested in that, but contextually it became less and less sort of like important for me, when it came to where I really was feeling I was evolving to, where I was really moving on an energetic level. And yeah, so let's clear it. I had to get really honest and say, it's not that I can't do the fashion app. It's not that I wouldn't be able to, but I just don't feel it is the thing I want. You know? And can we say that that'll lead to it in a way not manifesting? Yeah, we can. At least for me. Like, I know for myself, if I don't feel it, then I'm just just not gonna do it. Maybe it's a Scorpio rising, Pluto on the ascendant, Mars in the 8th. I'm just kind of like extreme like that. That's why sometimes you guys will see as well. Yeah. Sometimes I'll be posting a lot. Sometimes I will go a little bit more quiet. Sometimes I'll post a lot of a certain type of content. Sometimes I'll go a little bit more quiet. You know, it's all, I gotta be like honest with what I'm feeling. And it was very hard because I had a lot of momentum that was built with that project. But I had to look at it and say, you know what, like, it was real. Okay? But, you know, I'm still always going to be real to me, and I'm going to continue flowing, and I'm going to continue saying it the way I really see it. And I wasn't reporting to anyone. It was an entrepreneur project. But sometimes that's harder, right? Yeah. There's no one telling you, like, hey, I realize, like, it's kind of not real for you. Or, hey, I realize, like, you know, you want to, like, start moving in another direction, it seems. Is that true? Right? Sometimes it's, you're the one telling yourself it's time to go home. You're the one telling yourself it's time to, you know, see where you may have the fear of evolving, right? Because who's to say that continuing with the fashion app would have been the chosen, the good route to take, right? It would have been a logical postulation and organization of facts, okay? Yeah. Even if it is just like I was interested in that at a certain point in time. That shouldn't be enough reason, right? For you to feel something is real. So, and I think that's when we're unhappy. When we talk ourselves into lifestyles that don't make true heart chakra core sense, right? Vibratorily, I'm hearing that. That's going wrong. With your sense of true progress, And I think that's a starseed thing. If I do just kind of toot the horn and shout it out now. I think starseeds here have an particularly uncomfortable, at times, moment on the roller coaster we call life, because we are naturally breaking through status quos, and we're breaking through this moment of like, yeah, it's the mold. Yeah, it's the womb. Yeah, it's the womb of Earth. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Humans have been doing this for XYZ years. Yeah, this is how Earth has been going this past however many millennia. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's like, you're here like to be kind of like, bro, like we gotta break the party up now. Bro, like I'm here to be awkward. Like I'm my awkward ass badge here. I'm the awkward dude. Love and light. But you will see me as the one cool ass motherfucker in like, yeah. You'll see it. Okay. Yeah, no pun intended. Let's clear it. Like, you're gonna understand, even if it takes like 500 years, whatever, what is space and time? You'll leave your legacy as a starseed. And that's the point. And sometimes you just have to hold the faith and say, you know what? My family and my friends will think I'm absolutely batshit, banana balls, blue balls crazy. They'll just say, yeah, I just ruined their little, like, karmic party. I'm hearing that as well. Yeah, what they had in mind for me, what their plans were, right? Their plans for me. Okay, yeah. Their comfort zone. Their history that they've once known, what they have postulated to be their perfect scenario of how you are to live your life. Well, please, right? Parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers, older, younger, whatever it is, teachers, etc., whatever it happens to be for you. Frick, even like, yeah, what you grew up with, TV shows, right? Sometimes we have to say, I know I'm not going to be fitting into that society anymore by calling this out. Right? Then it's a starseed thing. It is a starseed thing, and it's about time, right, that we sort of say it like that. Because, yeah, I mean, what's the point of just being like a cool human? Right? We're not just here to be like a cool human. I mean, we could, guys. I mean, let's get honest, like, we could. But that would be so boring. Imagine you're a starseed with amazing capabilities. You've got these heights to you, to your story. On an energetic fucking level, you can create the most amazing shit. Okay? That this planet has not seen for, let's say, years and years and years and years and years. Imagine knowing that, and you're just like, bro, I'll just live at White House picket fence style. What up? That would be so, like, that would be the buzzkill. But only you really know that, you know? You with yourself. You got that, like, director's script, okay, spoiler. Only you know that. Okay, and you have to look at the audience and be like, trust me, wait this one scene out, bro. Okay? The last ones are gonna be much better. Okay? Yeah. Cause I'm doing it. Ooh, so yeah, it's about that empowerment energy again. It's about that empowerment energy. About the bravery to say, I'm gonna guess and check, if anything, my way through myself. Let me see if this is right. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna bang my head against the wall and I'm gonna see if it hurts. Let's clear it. Maybe, you know what, it opens a magical pathway. This is a metaphor. Okay. All right. Love and light. This is a general video. This is a video for entertainment purposes only. We have to say this. Let's clear. We have to have a disclaimer out here. Let's clear the energy around. But it's like really like that. And if we honestly erased history where people did such things and took such risks, where the fuck would we be? Imagine if we were like, oh, you know what? Einstein's embarrassing to the human population. Yeah. To his school, where he grew up, he was really embarrassing to his friends, his family. We're just gonna erase what he did here. Can you fucking imagine? Yeah. So, well, I think you could, because I'm getting this message from Spirit that it's inevitable. Truth, ultimately, is inevitable. Ascension, let's clear it in the... Ooh, let's go in the third eye. Ascension is happening. Ascension is inevitable, and it is a collective experience, and sooner or later, okay, whether you are the one to inspire that truth and change in another, or whether you walk away entirely and you say, I just go on my path, I am on my road, I'm on my way, and I'm alone at that, it's cool. And yeah, that they will eventually realize truth. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this came through in a Sage reading a few months ago. Yeah, interesting. So hey, well, it's gonna happen. And you know, if Einstein wasn't real, there would be another who would be, because it's that motion and movement. Eventually, even if we resist truth so much, we will eventually flip and acknowledge it, right? Let's clear it. It's just pure tension. What goes up comes down, right? If the volcano had consciousness and told itself, you know what, I really just don't want to erupt. If it could do such a thing, if it had such a power to do such a thing in a way, right? And truly want that, we would have volcanoes that wouldn't erupt, that would choose not to erupt. Right? It's a bit abstract maybe, but I'm getting this vision. Yeah, it's absolutely a metaphor. And Mother Earth is a reflection of us, I believe. I really do. Yeah, this is very interesting concept, which is why everything that happens on Earth is so relevant and it's not random. But anyways, let's clear it. Right? We're here on Earth after all. Hosts. So she's the host to us, we'll say. Mother Earth is host to us. But yeah, let's clear it. Let's backtrack around. And it's very interesting because in some facet and dimension, we can say the volcano, even if it takes time, a long time for it to eventually erupt, it wants that, and it will do so when it really wants that, when its soul consciousness is ready to experience that point of inversion and release. So let's clear in the third eye. Yeah, that could be a message. Feeling activation of the crown chakra. That might be different ways, but this is gonna happen, guys. And it's, I think, as a collective, as we all continue to purge and we all continue to address the karma and the past, and not to get wrapped up in it, but to leave it honestly behind with gratitude, that's when we are ascending. So fear not what you fear, right? You can acknowledge it and say, well, this is scary, but it's necessary. I'll do it. You know, again, this is a general video. Talk to your first practitioner. I don't know what everyone's going through. You want to be balanced mind, body, soul, right? Let's clear around. So this is a general video, general message, but and it's a video for introvert purposes only. So, but it's something that is happening, guys, and Mother Nature is speaking. Yes. It'll be very interesting. We'll see these next few weeks, you know? Let's clear it. I'm hearing the awakening. Yeah. And, the sun in Aquarius, yeah, Andrea. I'm just like, I just have these like thoughts. I'm like, I gotta say those. Can you imagine? It's like, I banged my head against the wall. Now you said maybe a door would open. Bro, no. I mean, you could, but you know what I mean? This is a general video. It's a general video. You gotta talk to your person practitioner. Ask them, you know, first before you take any steps. Like, oh my God. You know? And even into your consciousness, even meditation, you know. It's important to be grounded, meditating, and in a way it's kind of like, well, it's ruled by Neptune. It's kind of like, it's not a narcotic, but it has a similar effect. So that's why sometimes I think people, they think I'm like on a narcotic when I'm channeling. I'm not, though. It's just the energy is moving through certain dimensions, and yeah, yeah. So so it's chakras specifically as well. So it feels like, but that's why partly as well I don't do narcotics, I don't do drugs, because bro, I don't need that. I am already like, even if I gotta be careful with meditation sometimes. You guys have seen me. There were let's clear it. There have been moments, y'all, where I was like channeling. It was, oh, I remember the Scorpio reading. It was a Scorpio reading. I had to get up from the reading, and like, it was scary. I was about to like black out. And let's clear it. I felt really, really ungrounded, and yeah. So it's important to know where you're at with that and understand, like, is it a positive activity right now for me in the broader spectrum of like my other elements right now that I'm exercising? Am I not exercising? So let's clear it. I personally, like, if you got a lot of water, I would be just careful. Sometimes there are not good times to do tarot readings. Sometimes, you know what? No, it's like I don't want to expose myself. And that was the other night we were talking about that. So, anyways, guys, let's we'll wrap this video up, I guess. I'm hearing Chicago. We were talking about that the other night. That's interesting. Well, we were just talking about wind, I think. A lot of air. Let's clear it. Yeah. Because the other night we're talking about. It's interesting. The weather, I feel, is really related to the air element. The signs. You guys, we'll talk more maybe later. We'll talk more astrology, possibly. Let's clear it. Keep clearing and grounding. Clear your aura, your energy field as we move through these changes. If you feel guided, in whatever way you feel guided, we'll see you in the next videos, guys. Let's clear. Wait, anything else really quickly? Let's clear it. Yeah. Let's clear it. The left side of the body. Okay. I'm getting that. Spirit is saying, keep connecting to yourself in such ways that feel independently appropriate, where you're like, okay, I'm focusing on myself. I'm not necessarily carrying this conversation through another. So self-reliance, independence, even, and yeah. Let's clear it. Let's clear it. Yeah, interacting with yourself at this time. Interacting with yourself. Spirit is kind of showing me an image of like somebody introducing themselves even to themselves. Maybe it's a metaphor. Maybe we're moving into a new phase. It's like, yeah, there's a moment where we are really sort of reuniting even with certain aspects of our consciousness. I mean, this makes sense with all of our downloads and upgrades. But let's clear it. Yeah, especially we have the sun so young in Aquarius, and Mars at such a young degree. It's important to just sort of ease into these energies, of course, see what this transit is bringing forth for you. Let's clear it. Yeah, there's a lot of pressure. I'm hearing that as well, though, from Spirit. I'm hearing that there's a lot that is, let's clear it. It's like we're feeling almost maybe at times even restless, like we are still in some mode of thinking, like, I still want to create something from this, but you have maybe even a programming from prior cycle. It's almost like, how do we say, it was so interesting. Spirit's giving me this vision of like some kind of creature that is purging its exoskeleton, like it's even, yeah, it's some kind of shell. Yeah, let's clear in the sacral chakra. It's kind of even like a scorpion, I'm seeing even, I'm seeing some kind of creature in the desert. Like the shell is like popping off, but it's like a lighter version of the thicker shell that's growing underneath. So it's kind of like there's a process. You're still feeling the shell coming off, you know? You're still kind of feeling it there, but you're not actively in that story. So Spirit's saying allow it to sort of be there, I guess, but still acknowledge, let's clear it, how you may be evolving. So we'll see you in the next video. Is anything else here? Let's clear it and ground. Spirit is saying it may be messy at times, depending on what is coming up for you. That's important. We have to really let, right, the energies purge fully to be able to, you know, psychically make the shift into the next storyline. So thank you guys for tuning in. Oh wow, a lot of messages. Okay, let's clear. Anything else? Yeah, what you're purging, Spirit is saying, is shaping what you are interestingly remanifesting. So let's clear. It's not something to say, well, I want to just get rid of this, or I just want to move out of this cycle. It's so uncomfortable. I feel so embarrassed. I feel like I got this, you know, poopy exoskeleton. I'm hearing that. I have this like shell that's, yeah, I want to own my story. It's like, let's clear it. Yeah, there's a process of your evolution, and everything is meaningful. Every moment has a part in your story, and when we look back, we're going to really be holding gratitude for this particular. Okay, yeah, let's clear it. Let's clear it. I'm hearing this show. It's trouble because we are transitioning. It feels like trouble, rather, because we're transitioning. We're not quite there yet, but then we're also, yeah, so let's clear. It's a little bit of an illusion. Spirit is saying that, you know, it's normal to feel kind of like it's like, I have a hold on this. Wait, where's this going? This is a general video. We should talk to a practitioner again. Oh my god, okay, let's clear it. It's a general video. We're talking abstractly. We're talking esoterically. Oh, we have to, yeah. Let's clear it. But, you know, even if you're making financial decisions, you should talk to your specialist now for your finances, right? Let's clear it. But if you're talking legal matters, talk to your legal professional. Tarot may give you insight, but, you know, don't make a decision that is an important life decision that is related to matters of legality, physical body, really anything. Treat it as an entertainment only reading or video. And yeah, yet again. So you want to know before you get to the reading as well. This is what I'm hearing from Spirit. Like, you want to be in the driver's seat. Like, what is my perspective already? If anything, maybe tarot can give you, you know, yeah. I'm hearing comfort in knowing who you are. Interesting. Let's clear. It can help you maybe collect the pieces, though, but that you have. So, yeah, let's clear. Now, let's see. Let's clear. Yeah, so Spirit is saying right now it is a meaningful transition. So, it's not a weak point. It feels like a weak point right now, but it's not actually one. We're just shedding, but that shedding is helping understand the direction we move in next.